Well, good evening, New Puma families. Thank you for coming on tonight. This evening will be recorded and posted on our website for those who were not able to be here tonight. But we welcome you to the new school year of 2021-2022. And my name is Monique Luke, and I am the new principal here at Maria Carrillo High School. So I'm going to I have to tell you that I could not be more thrilled. I'm excited and thrilled to be with this team of educators. They are so committed. They are extraordinary, and I'm not just saying that. I've been spending time with them, the handful of team members that are here tonight, and they have been amazing. They have been welcoming, full of information, right? There are so many systems in place. There was so many, so much information that was left for me that I didn't have to, scour around for, and I'm so appreciative of that. And before I move on, and you get to meet those educators, right, I want to acknowledge who was here before me, right? And I know, as an administrator, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, the sacrifice of your own families, and sleep, right, that it takes, and this wonderful place, this wonderful school doesn't happen just like that. So she's in the audience, and I want to acknowledge her, and she's probably like, no, Monique, but you are going to stand up, and we're going to give you a standing ovation and clap for you. Miss Katie Barr.
What are you feel comfortable?
Great. Okay, so a lot of the information that is still here tonight, we can attribute not just to the team, but also under her leadership. So next, I want to introduce our wonderful admin team. So if you could turn to the next slide, please. Our wonderful admin team. And I will start with Miss Amy Weiss, who is our vice principal, and I'm going to let her come and say a couple of words about herself.
Can you hear me? I can't see the dang thing out there. Okay. So, here we go. You can't see me now, but now I can see you. My name is Amy Weiss. I'm going into my 4th year here. Some of you may know me throughout the district. I worked in Lincoln Valley District since 2001. I am the principal over there from RBCS Sequoia. RBCS, you can see back there. I worked out of the district office out of Lincoln Valley as a math consultant teacher, and then worked as a principal at the middle school. And then Ms. Katie Barr stole me and brought me over here, and I'm now a full-fledged Puma. I have my own son that's a Puma here, and twins will be coming here next year as well, so I'm also a parent here. My husband almost never sees me when the school starts, so you know him. You see him at the ball field, say hi, tell him I'm still alive and breathing. I am in charge of counseling, which we'll get to in just a second, and I just want to let you know that you've probably heard we're moving to a new information system. And that information system is Aries. We used to be in Illuminate, which many of you are familiar with already. It is becoming obsolete for us. They're no longer doing this sort of information system, so we're forced to move into Aries. The transition was supposed to begin in the spring. It was supposed to start in April. It didn't begin until June 30th, so we're 3 months behind. I was supposed to be able to get in and work on our schedules for all of our little munchkins on July 19th. That didn't happen. I finally got in yesterday, and there's a lot of bumps in the road. They scheduled all kids in the same period, all classes in third period, or all classes, 3 classes in third period, 2 in fourth, and 1 in sixth. IT has been working nonstop going at it. I mean, has complete faith that we will have a schedule for your munchkin up and running before school starts. We'll get there. I like Belgian chocolate and Diet Coke. So if you have the need or the desire to drop a little off in my office to keep you running for the next couple of days, by all means, I will be here around the clock until school starts.
Thank you, Amy. Next we have Mr. Andrew Campbell, Assistant Principal.
Hi guys, my name is Andrew Campbell. I'm one of the assistant principals here at Maria Carrillo, primarily working with students' last names A through L. We do have a second assistant principal here who wasn't able to join us tonight. His name is Albert Ategi, and he primarily works with students' last names M through Z. So hopefully, have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
She might- her knee is hurt, yeah,
It is
'cause
so
she said-
helpful, and I'm so happy to be elbow to elbow with these administrators. Next slide, please. These are our wonderful counselors who are also dedicated and love your students. Ready for them?
Yeah, so these fabulous women right here will be working on stuff in the next couple of days. Normally, in the year, schedules come out a week before school starts, and we put out a little form saying, if you have an issue with your schedule, if you have a hole in your schedule, if you took a JC class over the summer and you need to get that course onto your transcript and take something else this fall, fill out this form. That will be coming as soon as we get the schedules out to you within the next couple of days, well, right before school, hopefully. And these women here will help to get everyone going. During a normal school year, it usually takes the first 2 weeks of school before everyone's schedule is really where it's at, because we never know how many kids are actually going to show up on the first day of school. If we have more kids than normal, we have to add sections, and when we add sections, we have to convince a teacher to work an extra period, and then shuffle kids around so that we can spread them out and get kids not have classes that have different kids in them. That which means a lot of kids' schedules change. If kids don't show up, we might have to collapse the class and then shuffle kids around. So it's all a matter of money with the district and seeing where those funds are going to go to so that we can support and have an education for everybody. So you will be getting a schedule for your child at some point in time before school starts. There will then follow a Google form will come out to you, young ladies here, and give you stipulations as to what you can request for a class. Kids cannot request to change classes because they want to be with their best friend. They can't request because they want these wonderful teachers, a specific teacher, but there's other pieces that I told you about that they can't request for. So it will be coming. It's going to be a little bumpy for the first 2 weeks of school, but we promise we will get everybody into a class.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Reeves. So before we move on to the next slide, I wanted to share with you a little bit about my background. And I worked with Ms. Reeves for the past 2 years because I was a vice principal at another high school here in Santa Rosa City Schools. And I know what it's like to put the schedule together and all the work that goes on behind that, and how just before school starts, as we're getting lots of, inquiry about what's the schedule, we want that schedule to be exactly as planned with the counselors. So do not be afraid. It will all work out. And we know that where your students will be those first 2 days, the 12th and the 13th, right? They will be attending all periods. They will be with their advocates. They will be having a good time, and they will be doing lots of connection activities. Okay, so if we could go to the next slide, please. Wonderful students who have cut their summer short. Power! Who will power? All right, thank you. So, our support team, our front office individuals, who are adults on campus, who will be interacting with your students often, right? If they are late or if they need early release, or you will be interacting with them through phone calls or email. The school secretary, Ms. Lisa Greenstein, Ann James, our registrar, who handles grades and transcripts, right? The transferring of records. And then Ms. Gabby Mamarelli, our student advisor, and over to our attendance tech, and Paula Cox, our business office. They will be interacting with her on Thursday, or tomorrow actually, when they are getting their photos taken and then getting their lockers. So these adults are anchors acknowledge them because they will be the ones stocking the PPE, the hand sanitizers, right? They have been preparing all year for this moment tomorrow for students to be back on campus to make sure that it is a safe environment and that we have everything that we need to keep us safe during these times. Thank you. Puma Power, next slide. Thank you. Mr. Campbell will go ahead and talk about what it means to be a Puma.
So around campus, you'll see a lot of posters. You'll see it up on our bell tower out in front of the library. It's PUMA acronym for Puma. It stands for, you can see it up there, powerful producers, universal citizens, masterful communicators, and active learners, which is our graduate profile, or the attributes that we would look for in a student who's leaving Maria Carrillo after 4 years. We picked one of the attributes to focus on each year. We're actually at the top of the order this year is the year of the powerful producer. So some of your students' work will focus around that attribute. Next year it'll be universal citizen, and again, by the end of their 4 years, they will have explored activities in each of those attributes that we're looking for in our students.
Next slide, please. Okay, parents, your voice matters. Your voice matters. I'm going to say it 3 times. Your voice matters. Your voice matters. And it's something that I'm very passionate about as a parent, right? My students, my kids are adults now, right? But that school, when you drop your students off here with us for 7 hours a day, 185 days a year, then you go to work wherever you go. You trust, you want them to be in good hands. You want to know that they are loved, cared for, that they are seen, that they are getting the best education, right? And that they are making friends and socially adapting. And so for us to be able to do that, right, do that well, we need to hear from you, and we also need to listen to our students. But I just want to say that because we're gonna revisit the voice, your voice matters again towards the last 4 slides. Next slide, please, Puma Power. Thank you. So how do we support freshmen as they transition from middle school to high school? Right? We as parents were real happy, excited. Oh my God, my baby's going to high school. Right? What the reality of it is, how do we transition them? And so, Mr. Campbell, you want to come ahead? Well, actually, I'll just go ahead and introduce Trevor Brady and Joe Silvestri.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Joe Silvestri, one of 2 Puma Peer coordinators. Get in here. We're the ones with cool shirts. I'm also a 9th grade humanities teacher, so I'll have some of your 9th graders in the classroom, and a 12th grade government economics teacher. So we run the Puma Peer program, which is a super awesome program designed specifically to reach out to 9th graders before the first day, which is tomorrow, orientation, and with awesome junior and senior upperclassmen. So it's a super dedicated, awesome group of students. We have 35 of them this year, who, not for a class, like sheerly out of kind of volunteerism, meet with us 4 days a week, designing activities and different ways to reach out to the freshmen, to make them feel more welcome, to introduce them to our culture and community, get them involved with each other. So a lot of kind of community building activities within their advocacies, their kind of homeroom classes. And it's great. It's great watching our Puma peers grow as leaders, but then I also have 9th graders, right? I teach 9th graders, and seeing them kind of develop throughout the year as a result of our program. So we really focus on kind of 3 areas, which would be academic development. So we do provide some level of kind of like academic support, showing them where, you know, the counselors are, just basic stuff like that. Do they know how to organize? We do offer some kind of study skill sessions. Social emotional development, just kind of getting them connected with each other, having an older peer to talk to and share information, ask questions of, and then just campus community and spirit. So encouraging them to wear Maria Carrillo, shirts and colors on Fridays and getting them pumped to go to a rally or sports or get involved. So I'll keep bragging about them, but I'll just let them speak. I don't know if our Puma peers here just want to share maybe why they're involved or what they're looking forward to this year with the program.
Absolutely. Hi, my name's Aaliyah. I'll be a senior this coming year, and this is my second year working with the Puma Peer program. It was quite a challenging time last year figuring out how to interact with our freshmen and help get them, to join the school without being able to interact with them. So we worked really, really hard with a group of dedicated students who figured out we held festivals, we called them, which was just a big Zoom for students to come and, we played games, we did trivia, just a way for them to get to know one another and feel like they were a welcome part of the school. And that is really at our core what we're all about. So as a freshman, I came from a different town, a different school district. I didn't know a single person. And I remember meeting with Puma peers before school started at my own freshman orientation and being like, those are people that I can go talk to, and those are people that if I need somebody to help me with something, I can go find them. And we're here to be mentors, we're here to be guides and tutors and friends. And we're here to help your freshmen, help your students feel welcome as they start at a brand new school.
Hi, my name is Monse. I am also currently going to be a senior this year, and it is my second year as a Puma peer. And I still remember freshman year, even though I was not coming from a different town or a totally different school district, it was still pretty scary because we're going from middle school to high school. High school's huge. There's a whole bunch of different grades, and I remember meeting our Puma peers, and they just kind of helped us feel a little more welcome because in most movies that we watch as kids, it's like, oh, high school is so scary. It's either a musical or it's terrifying. And honestly, high school is so much more different than that. You grow and you change. And even with all the twists and turns that we took last year, it's still so memorable. And these last 4 years fly, but it is really helpful to know that you have someone who you can count on, who you can just talk to. And sometimes your friends may not understand, but maybe a Puma peer who had a similar experience will. And we're here for your freshmen. We're here to help them out in whatever shape or form that we can. And we're here to help them have fun and feel welcome as they grow in our Puma community.
Hi, my name is Shahad. I'm also a senior, and this is also my second year as a Puma peer. I still remember pretty much everything my Puma peers when I was a freshman told me. I remember all the laughs we had. I learned so much. I remember being so stuck on my math homework one day, and one of my Puma peers came over and she sat for like 20 minutes and helped me go through the whole entire thing because I had no idea what I was doing. And it just makes my heart melt. Honestly, like, wow, I can't believe she took all of her time to help me. And I want to be that person to help your kids whenever they're going through anything, whether it's social problems, school homework, anything, just get through whatever they need. Because at the end of the day, they are going to remember it, whether they are trying not to. They are going to remember it. Our school is a huge school. It's going to be very scary for them to come. But we want to be that support system, that helping hand, help them get through the first day, which is always nerve-wracking. And this is their first time back at school, after a year and a half in lockdown. And it can be intimidating, but again, we are their support system. We want to be that helping hand. And they're going to see that it is not as scary as it's going to be. And that they're going to enjoy it. They're going to love whatever activities we have planned. Last year, we planned a lot of activities virtually, and we're really excited to bring them in person because there's so much more fun, so much interaction going on. And we're really excited just to meet your kids and, create a loving relationship with them.
My name is Trevor Brady. I'm the other half of the Puma Peer Coordinator, along with Mr. Silvestri. This is my 6th year doing it And I think you just got a sample of just the amazing individuals that the Puma Peers are, that your ninth graders will get to interact with weekly. So they're in great hands. Along those lines, tomorrow is ninth grade orientation, just a little taste of what they'll be experiencing. At 9 o'clock, you will drop them off. We do ask that it just be the students. We promise they're in good hands. You'll get to see them again at 11 o'clock. They'll be interacting with the Puma Peers. We believe that the freshmen can make greater connections if they don't have their parents hovering over them. That's kind of why we do that. But again, from orientation, it's all about building connection with their fellow ninth graders, connections with the Puma Peers, and connections to the campus and the culture that we try to instill. They'll be going through tours so they have a better idea of where the layout is, so they know where they're at. Next Thursday, they'll know some great junior and seniors that will be kind of guiding them throughout the year. But again, these Puma Peers, I won't brag on them as much, but they've already dedicated 2 days over the summers to prepare for orientation. It's going to be very successful, and we promise that your ninth graders are going to have a great experience, not just tomorrow in orientation, but throughout their freshman year, in large part because of the work that the Puma Peers do. So, thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Puma Power, please. Next slide. Thank you. Puma Peer Program. And so we just heard all about that. Woo! Puma Peer Program. All right, next slide, please. All right, so as you see here, there are statistics. And there's a survey that we have pushed out for the past 3 years called the Youth Truth Survey. And we have surveyed our immediate stakeholders. As you know, our surrounding neighbors and everyone are our stakeholders as well. But this usually goes out to our teachers, our parents, and our students. And so this question, as you can see, in comparison to Sonoma County overall in a typical school, that students who came here answered that they believe that they are getting a quality education. And so in March of 2019, it was 68%, then 74%, and then this past January, 72%. And so we are constantly looking at data and making what we call in education data-driven decisions. And so we, in response to this, we continue to do the work that we do. And again, as I said earlier, that work that was done before I was here, right? But I was admired from afar because I would, what's Maria Correa doing? What's Maria Correa doing? So I'm just very excited to be here and to be a part of this work. Puma Power, next slide, please. All right, academic supports. And Mr. Campbell and anyone else can chime in with this, right? As you see the list here, Aspire program, when there are students that are struggling, right, that are showing that they're having difficulties in different courses. There's the person that oversees Aspire is Ms. Maddie Doyle. Then we have the Open Tutorial Advocacy and After School program, and the person who oversees that, Mr. Campbell.
A couple different teachers. We have a couple different programs. Yeah.
All right. And then there's the English and Math support teams. And again, I'm new, so they're full of information, right? And the people who oversee that are
Miss Henry for English, and Miss Polly for math. And both of those happen during the school hours, which is a nice benefit as well.
okay. Thank you. And then peer tutors during school hours. And the person that oversees that is
Counselors in placement and actual teachers in the classroom. Can you hear me all the way? Yes. Okay. That's like, because I'm a teacher, I got the projection down. But sometimes they'll be in actual classrooms, so if the student's struggling, a teacher might assign a peer tutor in there. It's a really nice way to get some additional support within the context of the class while it's going on. So if you have a question that you're too embarrassed to stop the class for, you can turn to your tutor.
Thank you, Ms. Deakins. Yes. And all that being said, encourage your students to access these resources, okay? Because they can be here, but if a student is struggling and they're not accessing the resources, and we can push it, and remind them, but if they don't access the resource to get that extra support, then it's causing problems at home, right? It's just people aren't happy, right? Parents are stressed, the student is stressed, the teacher is wondering, well, what else can I do, right? I need this referral. So we just really encourage you to encourage your student to access these supports, utilize their advocate, right? Utilize their advocacy lessons and their PUMA peers for that support to get through their academics. Okay, next slide, PUMA Power, please. All right, social emotional support.
So you're going to hear actually quite a bit about some of our amazing programs that we have here. Some of them that you're going to get some more information on our Wayfinder program. Someone's going to talk a little bit about advocacy and what your student can do during that time. But these are actually part of the biggest picture of social emotional supports for your students here. There are ones that are available to everybody and just happening all the time throughout advocacy period, throughout some of this happens in your students' actual class periods. Those are what we call our tier 1 supports, ones that are everyone's participating in. If your student is someone who might need a little bit of extra support in the social emotional area, maybe that could look like kind of group counseling or some work with our restorative specialists who can help students with social skills or solving problems. We can your student can access those by talking to their counselor, and they can connect them to the best resources for your student. One really amazing resource we're going to have this year that we haven't had in the past is the district is actually funding a full-time MFT therapist on our campus who's going to be available to work with our students, which is something we haven't had before. So I'll pause there and let us go into some of those programs that I mentioned that also support our students.
Come on.
I'm Natasha Deakins. I've been teaching here at CREO for over 20 years, so I'm definitely a proud Puma, to say the least. And as Principal Luke said, data is important to us because a lot of times we hear probably what we think are the facts, maybe rumors about what the reputation at CREO is. Maybe your child is nervous, it's going to be so much homework or things like that. So it's really important for us to look at some of the data and figure out who are their students and what are their actual needs. And what I like about this is this kind of information allows us to pause, particularly after what we have all been through, and say, okay, how might we reimagine what school is going to look like as we come back? I'd love to say completely after a pandemic, but clearly since we're all sitting here in masks, we're still in it. And we know that. So what are we going to do to make sure that our students feel safe and secure? And this goes with some of those social emotional supports. So Puma, power. Really? Puma? Power? Woohoo! Okay, this is actually my favorite topic because you keep hearing that word of advocacy, advocacy, advocacy. And whenever we have a new teacher join our staff, it's like the #1 question. They're like, what is advocacy? But really when you think of that notion of advocate, I'm an advocate. My job is to support students. And with our program, having advocacy means I have a group of students that I support for 4 years, for their entire time that they're at CREO. In fact, I'm the first person who gets to greet them when they walk across that stage for graduation. So that allows me to, in essence, develop a stronger connection with those students, to figure out what years they really like. Maybe I have the freshman year where they're all excited, and the sophomore year, I teach a lot of sophomores, it's not as exciting as the freshman year, but your junior year, right, when you start to really make a lot of decisions, and your senior year where life seems great and you know everything. Every senior has every answer. And some of you are like, wait a minute, that's my freshman, please. But it is a great time for students to actually be able to use academic supports as well. So if they are absent, being able to meet with teachers during the school time. In the history of our school, there's been times when teachers have thought, well, is this working? This is a lot of effort here. And we will ask students, they'll say, do not get rid of advocacy. That's when I get my work done, that's when I collaborate with my peers, that's where I go and see other teachers, and that's really where a lot of the connection to our school culture occurs. We've got other programs that I'm going to allow Mr. Wallach to explain, and I'll talk a little bit more about what's going to happen in advocacy those first 2 days of school. Which, when your student shows up, all they really want to know is, are they going to be nice to me? And the answer is yes. Well, Uma.
Thank you, Ms. Deegan. Hello, my name is Scott Wallach. I am the student government advisor here at Korea. I also teach social science classes here. One of the social science classes I teach is here, so I'll probably have some of your kids in my humanities class. What I wanted to touch on is one of our social emotional supports that we do, which is called the Real World Project. Now, this is something that you remember when Ms. Luke was talking about this, using data to discover how we can best improve our school and across the board. About 4 or 5 years ago, we realized that through looking at data and surveys and interviewing kids and interviewing teachers, we realized that something that we really wanted to improve on at our site was making the 4 years of education they get here at Korea relevant to real life outside of school. That's fine. This one's got lots of words, so that's nice. So what we created, thanks, Ms. Luke. What we created over the course of a number of years, and it's still in progress, is the Real World Project. It starts freshman year with a focus on what's called the Wayfinder, Project Wayfinder. Now, this is something that your students will do in their English and their humanities classes. Your kids will be paired. So like your humanities teacher or their humanities teacher and their English teacher, we work together very closely to develop curriculum, to teach the subject, and to do Project Wayfinder. You can go to, Puma Power. That's the next one, right? Let's see. There we go. So Project Wayfinder is an incredible program that we brought in a few years ago. Last year was the first year that we fully implemented it with all of our ninth graders. And then of course, COVID hit, so it made things a little interesting. So we're super excited to be able to do it in person for the first time with every single one of our ninth graders. Project Wayfinder, as it says up there, is a purpose learning curriculum, meaning that rather than teaching them about an English novel or a certain segment of geography and humanities, we're helping them learn about themselves. We're helping them learn about their purpose in life and figuring out, kind of starting them down the path of figuring out who they are, what they want to do, and what their purpose is. And this sets them on this path through our Real World Project, through sophomore, junior, and finally senior year, to kind of make their education a little bit more relevant. So stay tuned for this. Your kids should come home talking about this curriculum. It's incredible. It is truly a joy to be able to teach this curriculum with your kids. So thank you.
Great tips for a successful start. Yes, let's have our students come up again. Love student voices.
Hi. So I'm Timothy Liu. I'm gonna be a junior. I'm gonna be a junior this year. I am ASB president for the student government class.
Puma Power.
Puma Power?
There we go.
Oh, okay. And some tips I have for incoming freshmen is to really maintain or just try to discover new connections with like everybody you meet, whether it be like your peers, your teachers, your counselors, or your Puma peers. I know that I came to RVMS, which is Green Valley Middle, with no friends, and I think having friends is really important in classes because I can't remember how many times I had to text a friend that like I didn't know what homework was due the next day, or like the schedule, or I had a lot of questions, and the friends in classes really do help. And I would also say to not be scared to ask your teachers questions, because that's what they're for. I know I was really nervous and scared because, oh, they're a teacher. But if you ask them, they will answer it. So that's a really big tip.
That's what they're for.
Hi, it's me again. My name is Maria. I'll repeat it because it's not easy to remember. One of the things, I'll name a couple, but very similar to what Timothy said, something that's super important as a freshman is reaching out and making connections. And we've got plenty of clubs on campus that I'm sure will be talked about later, or we as school peers are happy to introduce them. But that's a really good way to find somebody to make friends with, because not everybody will make a friend necessarily on the first day or the first week, but putting yourself out there and joining different clubs or being members of different organizations, it is a really good way to not only make friends and find people that you have common interests with, but also to feel like a part of the community, which is something that we really value here at Carrillo. Is we want as many people as possible to feel like they belong here and feel like they're a valued member of the school. So absolutely, joining clubs, joining different classes. I wasn't in drama as a freshman, but I was a part of their first drama production my freshman year, and I loved that. It was absolutely wonderful, and it helped me make a lot of friends that I otherwise wouldn't have found. Of course, there's academic tips as well. You'll hear over and over and over again, don't procrastinate. I know that for me and for a lot of my friends, COVID has been quite a lesson in time management and coming up with your own schedule for homework. Don't let that go away just because we go back to the classroom. That is really, really important and will absolutely serve them well in the next couple of years. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you, out of the mouths of babes. All right, Ms. Deacons, Advo Connections.
Oh, yes, this is exciting. So basically, on the very first 2 days of school, when they show up next Thursday and Friday, they will start in their advocacy for actually an hour and 45 minutes, which is going to sound like a really long time. They are transitioning to longer block schedules, and we've actually learned a lot through the pandemic in terms of attention spans for students, the need for, as you heard, the tips, time management, things like that. So as a staff, we're reimagining again how we might structure our bell schedule. So by starting with the advocacy, we get an opportunity to do the things that you've been hearing about. And that's our way of saying, this is important, right? How we spend our time reflects what we value. So during those first 2 days, we want to make sure that we're setting a clear message that while academics are very important, we want them to be successful, we want to also make sure that they feel healthy and safe and secure on our campus. The big surprise also is that on Friday during their advocacy time, again, this Advo Connection, they will be receiving new Chromebooks. So if you're wondering where that old Chromebook was from last year, maybe under the bed, please dig that out, find that, because it will be an opportunity for them to turn that in, get their new Chromebook. There's a whole host of activities that you don't actually have to hear about today, but what we do ask is when they get home on Thursday and Friday, to ask them about Advocacy Connections. What did they do? What was it like in their advocacy? Because these are new things that we're trying, right? And they're not going to be perfect every single time, but I hope you can feel the kind of the energy and the dedication to welcoming not only your students, but you as well.
Power. All right, how do we communicate with families? Next slide, please. There will be 2 platforms through which we will communicate with you. Parent Square, raise your hand if you've been getting Parent Square messages. Woo! Yes, right? Okay, if you can see the difference between Parent Square and Constant Contact, Through Parent Square, that's where you will receive your district messages, COVID updates, right? If there's something in between throughout the week that I need to communicate to you, I will send it through Parent Square. But the weekly updates that will come out on Monday mornings, we will be using the platform of Constant Contact. Raise your hand if you're already familiar with Constant Contact. Yeah, probably parents that have been here, right? Because that's the system that has been used in the past. So it seems to be working. If it's not broken, don't fix it. That's what we're using. It's independent with Maria Carrillo specifically. So as the district changes the platform, there we still have our Constant Contact. Next slide, please. Puma Power. Thank you. So return to school protocol. Puma Power. Next slide, please. All right, so we are indoors. Masks are required indoors. Outdoors, masks are optional. We will still encourage students to socially distance, right? We don't want like 25 of them, oh, let's just do a big group hug, right? But we will be monitoring that. We will be encouraging them to use hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer bottles will be around. There will be masks around, right? Whatever we require, we're going to have to supply that, right? And so desks, things like that, they will still be working on group projects, but they will be wearing masks. Things can change, and you will be updated as they change. All administrators in the district today were at Sonoma County Office of Ed for the past 2 days. We were there, and one of our district administrators was attending webinars. Things are changing daily as far as information comes out. Sonoma County Office of Education website is one place where you can go. The California Department of Public Health is another website where you can go. And that's how we'll be gauging the information that we send out to you. But in the meantime, what we know today, what I can say with pure confidence, is that masks will be worn inside, hand sanitizer will be provided, and students will be encouraged to socially distance. Last thing, as of right now, you will not have to fill out the daily wellness screener. Okay? So, anyway, that's for right now. It is a no. You do not have to do that. All right? So, next slide. Puma Power. Okay, you've heard from us. You've heard from our wonderful, enthusiastic rock star educators. And like I said earlier, your voice matters. Your voice matters. Parent involvement is huge. And so we're going to have one of our rock star parents come and talk to you right now.
Stand over to the side as well because that light is very bright. My name is Teresa Jepson. I have the privilege of representing the parent groups here at Carrillo. I am the president of the Parent Association. I've been a Puma parent for, I'm starting my 8th consecutive year. I have 3 sons who are graduates of Carrillo. And our youngest is a sophomore this year. So a couple more years, or several more years, I guess, that I will be here. This is actually going to be my last year as president of the Parent Association. And I'm doing that for several reasons. As Ms. Principal Luke said earlier, your voice does matter. And I really feel like every voice matters, and people are probably tired of hearing my voice all the time, as I've been in this role for several years now. So I would really encourage all of you who are incoming for the first time, or you may have some older students who are here, to please get involved. I have to say I've made some wonderful friends. I've gotten to know the staff well and administration well. And it's really nice to feel like you have that connection to the school and to the community. And we really do have an amazing Puma community. So I'm happy to welcome all of you to it. And again, I'm hoping that by stepping down next year, I'll still be around for 2 years and can be here to support in that transition. And let's see, as far as the Parent Association goes, or actually, can we go back one more time? Okay, the Parent Association is the kind of overarching parent group that we have at Carrillo. And the Parent Association runs what's called the Family Giving Campaign every year. And through donations to the Family Giving Campaign, our board votes to support programs here at the school that will impact the largest number of students possible. And some of the things that we are really proud of is the Real World Project and Project Wayfinder. And the administration of the school came to the Parent Association a couple years ago, and the Parent Association, with donations given by parents of the school, along with the CTE Career and Technical Education Foundation here in Sonoma County and the John Jordan Foundation here in Sonoma County, our three groups partnered to purchase the Project Wayfinder Toolkit for our students. And it's been so successful that the district is now going to be bringing that program in district-wide for all freshmen. So that's something we're really excited about and really proud of, that we started that here at Carrillo and that we as parents could be partners in that. Being involved also, like I said, is a great way to kind of stay in the loop as to what's going on at school. Next slide. Okay. The other groups that we have are the Puma Athletic Boosters, which will be known as PAB, P-A-B to most of you guys. Band Boosters, which if you have a son or daughter who's in band, you can get involved that way. The Fine Arts Committee also includes the performing arts that are here at Carrillo, and we really are fortunate in that we have great sports programs. We have an incredible band that wins competition after competition every year, and our choir and our drama departments put on fabulous productions every year as well. The last one is Project Grad, and Project Grad is the graduation night party for seniors. And this past year, it was actually held at the Epicenter, and it's an event that there's a board that plans for that. You can get involved that way, and it's also a great volunteer opportunity. Senior parents do not volunteer that night, so we kind of ask everyone to pay it forward so that when your student is a senior, you can enjoy graduation and they can enjoy their party after. So I think that might be everything for me. Next slide. Let me see. Oh, these are some of the things that through the Family Giving Campaign we have supported. The after-school tutoring that was talked about earlier for primarily math. The Parent Association does pay for the Real World Project. All of the science labs, or a vast majority of the science lab supplies and art supplies. And we also have emergency supply kits in the event that there would be an emergency on campus to sustain students. And campus beautification has also been something we've really focused on, not last year, but in previous years. The campus needed a little bit of a facelift, and so we had, I believe it was close to 800 students come out and help spread mulch and pull weeds and do a lot of work on campus. So that was also a big community effort that we were proud of. Next slide. Okay, if you scan this QR code here, it'll be an opportunity, and I encourage you all to. You can go from, there'll be a form that pops up, and you can submit your name and your email address and look at areas that I've mentioned that you may be interested in being involved, and then someone from these various committees can reach out to you. So many of the groups are outside if you have any questions specifically. And again, I encourage you all to get involved, and welcome to Korea.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Justin. Can you please turn to the next slide? All right. I'm going to give you just a few seconds to take a look at those numbers and that question from that survey, or YouTube survey. It goes back to what I said in the beginning about how thrilled I am to be with this team and work with this team of educators. Because they are the survey, the answers, their actions, the empirical data evidence that it was waiting for me as I stepped onto the campus proves how committed and dedicated they are. And it's not just them, it's not just the educators, and not just the staff, right? But it's the parents, it's the community. I have to tell you that I've also heard how involved the parents are. And together with the, as we said in the beginning, together with the parents, right, the community members, the grandparents, the family, the students, and the educators, we can do wonderful things with your students. and really impact the lives of our youth. And lastly, what I will say, just a little personal story for myself as an educator, right? And a mom of two that were 22 months apart. So they were in high school at the same time. And one was at Santa Rosa High School and one was in Montgomery. They were both in sports, right? Those years were amazing. They were busy. I felt like a taxi cab driver. I was involved, right, in the gyms on the weekends, right, cold, and the tournaments and all of that. And then it was over. And what I can tell you is that it really, truly took a community. It took other parents. It took everyone looking out for my kids, right? And I'm so grateful. And to pay it forward in this way means a lot to me, right? So I know that when you're calling and asking, you just want what's best for your child, right? And we know that as well. So please, we're excited. It's unprecedented times. We look forward to seeing your lovely ones tomorrow, right? Go Pumas. It's a wonderful place to be, and thank you for choosing Maria Carrillo High School.